Lovano, and welcome to the London Jazz Festival.
Thank you, Ashley. Fantastic, man. It's great to be here.
So, Joe, you grew up in a house full of musicians. Your dad was a tenor player, Big T Lovano. Did you call him Big or T?
Well, I called him T, yes. But I grew up in a really beautiful scene of music all around me as a kid. And hearing him practice and play and having him as a teacher, it was great because he was a really generous cat and brought me into the music in a real beautiful way. My ambitions were always to play with people that inspired me to be a musician, you know. So I went after gigs.
Yeah.
You know, I went and sat in with Chet Baker, for example, and sat in with Elvin Jones, and went to sit in with Sonny Stitt and people that were my teachers from recordings and things. I always had my horn with me everywhere I went, you know.
So you worked with a lot of organ players. Did that affect your tone in any way? Did that contribute to your sound, do you think?
Growing up in the 60s, especially around that part of the country and the States, there was a lot of clubs, there was a lot of gigs that were more with organ groups. You know, a lot of the clubs didn't have pianos, you know, and developing a sound, really you played without a PA system also. So you're playing with organ and drums and guitar, or just trio with organ and drums. And you had to really project and play the music, you know, hit a strong groove with the band, you know.
Your latest album and this tour are all about the great Italian tenor Enrico Caruso. Why did you choose Caruso?
This particular ensemble that I have to do this Caruso project and how it developed came from earlier recordings, like one in particular, Rush Hour, that I did with Gunther Schuller, where a lot of the same people that were on those recordings are with me on this tour. Mm-hmm. The Caruso project also came from being inspired by his presence, his personality, his sound, the way he vibrated on tones and filled a room. The music was churning from the Mediterranean, you know, North Africa, the Middle East, Southern Italy. People migrated to the Americas, you know. They went to South America. The music that became the tango and from Argentina and in Brazil. Players and people that went to New Orleans and together with the blues and field songs from the States created what jazz became. You know what I mean? I studied this period for the first time, really, you know. Studying this really opened my eyes to a lot of things about Louis Armstrong and how he loved Caruso and would carry his records around, and Sidney Bechet as well. And then you start listening to them and you could hear a presence and a majestic approach that was inspired by him, you know? So I tried to write some original songs and some original music that had the energy from an earlier time. And I call it my street band for that reason, because there was a lot of street music. And the music that Caruso would have heard as a kid, as a teenager growing up, would have been a lot of street musicians and really informal kind of settings like that, you know. So I tried to put an ensemble together that brings out those characteristics.